Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're going to look at the infamous FANG. Remember, we're going to look at Netflix, but they want to replace that with NVIDIA. And when NVIDIA starts falling, then they'll be like, well, you know what, maybe we'll put Netflix back in. But anyways, enough fun for today. We're going to look at the daily, weekly, monthly time frames. We're going to use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. So let's look at Facebook. Let's look at the daily. I haven't really looked at these, so let's see what's happening. So we had a Fibonacci up here around 126.89. Never can pop up through there. We almost did. It was stretched. But then we had a trend line up in here as well, which that was our next area of saying, no, I don't think so. And then ultimately 134.88 if it cracked through here and cracked through there. So we had to keep an eye on those areas. Never did. Went up on earnings. The best earnings ever. It's Facebook. It's going higher than it ever did before. Everyone got in, slammed it, inside bar, retraced it, never looked back. Now it's getting interesting. So we have an inside bar, bearish pattern. We're below the moving average or the 20 moving average, but we're above the 50 and the 200. So it's slightly bullish, but this pattern is telling me that Facebook wants to go lower. So we'll watch this one in the next week or two. The market's dump, this one's going as well as everything else. But still a strong stock, still above the moving averages, but setting up, if it needs to get it back above the 20 MA and then possibly back into this area. And I'd like to see it close above the 128.33 with confirmation, and then we go to this trend line, and then, like I said, the 134 or 136 area. If it goes lower, we're going to hit this. This is a good area of support right here at 119.75. And then, boom, I think we're going to fill this or hit the 200 MA and then fill this gap down in here right around 108.95. Let's go to the bigger time frame here. Same thing. Just this is like every other chart. We go up, it goes up on earnings, pulls back, and then slowly tries to retrace and then never makes it. Now we're just kind of weak. And then this little spinner, we close below it on a weekly, and now we're looking tomorrow to see if we could close below this. This is a weekly, so it closes tomorrow. But now I'm looking for sideways. Still bullish, above the MAs, good trend, nice even spacing here, not bad. I got a fib, let me pull that out. Let me put one again, I'm going to put it in a smaller time frame. Let's see what we got here. Let's say, what are we sitting on? Yep, 750, or the 250 going up. So we're at the 250, once that cracks, I think we're going to 120.69, then ultimately into the 115.92, and then definitely down in this area at 108.22 and the 50 MA. If this cracks, then we'll have to reevaluate, see how it sets up on the daily, and then take it from there. Monthly, again, it's extended, but not too bad, but it still has to start coming in to this 20 moving average, which is right around $100. We still have to hit the 750 or the 250, 382, 750, or 50. Way ahead of myself. 618, 50, 750 down in here. But if we get a little bit of a doji, then we'll have to keep an eye on that because that's a possible reversal signal. Let's look at Amazon, the darling of the market. This one is stretched. Let me pull this off. I won't pull. Let's go to the daily. So on the daily, same thing. They had good earnings, pops up, comes back in, then chops around. These are leaders. I mean, this one's at the all-time high is 773, so it's off the high. But is everything else like the SPY, the Qs, the DIA? They were all making all-time highs. These stocks really weren't. I mean, they did, but then they pulled back. Again, we closed below the 20 moving average. I want to see this recapture, then maybe more upside. If this thing confirms below the 20, we're definitely going to 743. We're going to fill this gap around 736. And then, gosh, we have a gap down in here. I'm thinking around the 7 right here. There's a big gap down in here around 790 or 691. So we get down in there, then we'll reevaluate. But if the markets sell, it's going to be a market trade. If the SPY, the IWM, the Qs are dumping, these are going to dump too. Ultimate target, this one hasn't touched the 200 moving average on the weekly in a long time, and that's at 656. And then you have you got a big gap in here. Stocks love to fill gaps. So that's, and then 601 down in here. So not that it's going to do. You got a gap window, then you got the gap fill. You're going to have some more support down in here. We'll reevaluate as this thing's coming down. Monthly chart extended. Again, just like here, gets away from the 20, comes back, never touched it. Let's pull this one off. This one here doesn't have a tail. So boom, comes back, never touches it, goes up for 6-7 months, and then I think we're due to come back. I think we're looking at 675, then 637, 650-ish area. You're going to have support on this pivot here at around 700, like I said earlier. But yeah, this one's extended, and it's time to come in. The 20 MA, though, is at 559. Interesting. Let's look at our favorite, Netflix. What is it? Nlfx. It's a long day today, guys. Long day. Man, Netflix just ugly. I don't think this thing's doing anything. Let's. I don't have anything on this chart. All right, let's go here. So you got these high pivots. Let's stick a fib. This is a quick one, guys. Bear with me. Got a fib on this one. Let's go back to this low. I want to see if we can connect some bottoms here. Yeah, I guess we could do that one. Yeah, because that's where it held. See how the little pivots down in here held? Never got below. So that's a good area of support. So looking at this chart, though, the first thing I notice is that we're down and we're sideways. I love these patterns. And if you've been following me, inside bar, they tried popping it up. You got some people long in this one. We could not get above this trend line. Actually, let me draw this in a little bit better. I want to make sure that we're right. Yeah, so we could not get above that trend line. I want to see it close above this high, the inside bar, and it close above this trend line. And then I want to get above this 5-0 retrace. And then we have the big even number of 100, and then the 200, and then the 618 in this pivot. Even if this goes up, exit. If it gets above here, though, the 101.04, 101.40, then we'll probably fill this gap right in here around 102.59, and then ultimately 104. This is a news-driven stock, so if it gets news, it could go to 120. If it gets bad news, then it goes down, period. So it's a little bit news-driven. Technically it's somewhat bullish, but until we get above the 200 here, it's in a neutral stance, but we have an inside bar, bearish pattern. I'm thinking it's going down. If you're on the short side, we want it to close below the 20 and the 50, then get to the 750 retrace around 91.30. Then I think we're filling the gap down in here at 87.68. Then I think we have a possibility of getting to the double bottom around 84.40, and then if that cracks, boom, right here, we're going right down in this area, right around 80 bucks. I mean, look, we went down, we're going sideways. It's a big inside bar bearish pattern. And another thing, high, lower high, lower high. Until we get above these highs, these high pivots in this area here, it's a downtrending stock. But again, it's news driven, so anything can happen. Weekly chart tells a little more of the story. Down, sideways. You have an inside bar. They retrace it back up to the 750, slam it down to double bottom, 618, slam it down. And then we're retracing back to the 750. So look at that. 750, 618, and then this retrace. Slightly bullish. I'd like to see about 4 more weeks and then maybe a truck behind it to push it through. But if this inside bar pattern fails, we're going right to double bottom. Then, like I said, right down in this area here. And there's still a big gap fill down at 64.87. Call me crazy, but you never know. Stocks love to fill the gaps. Monthly's just brutal. Down, sideways, bearish inside bar, and we consolidated for 7 months. If we get below this 20 MA on a closing basis on the monthly, then look for a close below these areas like we've been talking about, and then 78, 72. And like I said, we got a gap. This 50 moving average is 61.66 on the monthly. Where's this gap? Look at that, gap's at 64. So you have this at 65, just to say. Then you have the monthly 50 MA, which this thing hasn't touched in 3-4 years. You have that right around 62.36. So this right in here is right around gap fill. This is interesting, setting up in a huge bearish pattern on the monthly, which if this pattern breaks out, it will definitely go down to here. So that's Netflix. And then the last one of the FANG is Googl. I follow Googl out, so I'm going to go through that one. Let's go to the daily. Daily, same thing, just like Amazon, just like all these stocks. They had gap up on earnings. They come in, then they're trying to chug. And actually, this one has that's a little bit of a topping tail. Never closed above it. So if you wanted to go short Googl, if you're not short already, use the all-time high, 113.689. If you short it right here, or actually wait for a retrace back into the 20 MA, or hold on. Let's do a little more here. If you want to short Googl, because we're holding this pivot down in here, but let's put a retrace on this area here. So it looks like we're holding this. If you're long Googl, you need to stay above this pivot right at 784.59. If it gets below that, we're definitely coming down and filling the gap right at 768, say at 769. You have this trend line here, but does that mean anything? Nah, that's an old trend line. We can take this out, we can take that out. But we retrace, we go back into the 800, 803.91. You short this thing, you have a gap fill here. So if you're not short this, you want to wait for a retrace. If it breaks down below this area, like I said, 1785 or so, it's going to fill the gap, and that's as simple as that. And if the SPY and everything else starts to sell like we talked about, it's definitely going to go to 675.75, and then we're going to hit these moving averages down here around 755, and then around 748 or so. If you want to take the trade there, so in that area, you know, if you want to take a trade here long, you could take the bounce. I'm sorry, there's a phone call, and I'm almost done doing this, and it was some telemarketer, you know, typical. So anyways, yeah, if this thing cracks this area, fills the gap, we could probably get down in there. Let's go to the weekly time frame. I mean, look at this. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 doji, and now we're reversing. Gosh, I'm thinking down. If this thing starts to come in, if we crack this area here, which we're almost at 790, that's where they closed it today. We need to close below this bar at 785 like we talked about, and then I think we're on. And if the SPY and everything else is selling, this market is over. I'm sorry. Sorry to be the burden of bad news, but we're going to go right to the 7.5 retrace. And this is the bigger time frame, so 778, but ultimately 743, 618's right at 726. And then honestly, we could come down to 6 if this market really starts dumping, which, man, we are due. I mean, look at these charts. They get up here and they're just flopping around. They just can't get any momentum to move up other than chopping around. As a swing trader, I mean, look at this. We had this down, great inside bar, flatten it, inside bar again, and then the Brexit, same crap. We get above into this all-time high, into earnings, and boom, we're going down again. Monthly chart. A little bit stretched, but if this thing closes in a red candle, we have a topping tail on the monthly chart. You can use this as a stop out then on a monthly basis if you want to. We have to wait until next week to see where this thing closes, but again, it's stretched. And the target on this is the 20 MA, which would be around 676. So, but again, everything's going to have to sell. This IWM, the SPY, for these to really start getting some momentum to the downside. Until then, these markets can just chop around up and down, but right now all the turds are running, like the retails are running, all the stocks that have been beaten down are running. These money managers need stocks to run. They're not going into the JPMs, the Apples, the Exxons. They're buying the low turds, getting their friends to upgrade these things, you know, on CNBC. They're all running. Just look at retail. 6 months ago at Christmas time or 7 months ago, Amazon's taking over the world, and then all of a sudden you get decent earnings on Kohl's. I don't even know what J.C. Penney's had, but a couple of these other retailers had decent earnings. Macy's might have. I don't even know. And then, oh, Best Buy, they're all going up. And then it's like, wait a minute here. I thought 7 months ago you guys were talking about retail's dead, and now all of a sudden it's alive? No, money managers need these things to run because they need to make money in their portfolio. The SPY's been sitting for 2 months. Everything's been just sitting doing nothing. So you have to trade the turds. So all the turds are moving up, but the stock market just isn't because the leaders are not leading. You have to keep an eye on that. All right, guys, enough for tonight. We looked at the FANG. If the markets sell, these are all coming in. And we are short Facebook, Google, Amazon, Netflix where we're in. I'd like to see higher prices. And we even wrote some calls on Amazon. And I think that's it. I don't know. There's a lot going on. It's been a long day. Everyone, thanks again for watching my videos. Hopefully I'm helping some of you guys out. Don't get stuck in these trades up here on the hype. Turn CNBC off and just follow the charts. All right, everyone. Thanks again. God bless. See you on the charts.